How has he been handling this? Because it's like Mark was saying, it's difficult for a 22-year-old, and from the outside we can't really see. And you try to read body language, but I just wonder how J.K. is reacting and handling it when he finds out that he's probably not going to be in the rotation.
He's handling it well. He's coming in. He came in yesterday and scrimmaged, with the low minute guys who scrimmage routinely. So he's staying ready. He's keeping a positive attitude. And like I said, I'd be surprised if he didn't find his way, back out there. Just from what I know of, my experience with the playoffs, how things work. But again, I have to read what we need. I have to read, who's playing well together. And to be very frank, the Jimmy JK combination has not been great, and that's the tricky part here. And I'm playing Jimmy 40 minutes a night because Jimmy is he's one of the very best players in the league, and there's a reason we're here and we're in the 7th seed, and we won whatever it was, 24 of our last 30 games. And the reason is Jimmy. And so it's my job as a coach to keep the team on a path that I think gives us the best chance to win. And for now, that's what I've been, that's why I've been leaning into the lineups that I have.
That was a segment from Willard and Dibbs, 95.7 The Game. They've got Kerr on every week. Check them out. Now, typically, especially this time of the year, I wouldn't want to make a video like this. Just being a Warriors fan, it's not healthy for the team vibes. But here we are. It's not like I'm bringing this up out of nowhere. I'm stirring something up. This is a huge topic amongst the Warrior fans, and at this time of the season, Kuminga, DNPs in the 2 biggest games of the year, and then you heard Steve right there. And this has been an ongoing thing, right? All 4 years. It's been an ongoing thing. I think part of Steve's rigidness to the situation is the window. If Steph was 32, 33 years old, I'd imagine Steve would have more patience for the development of Kuminga. But I also think that there is a personality clash. And I know people don't, it gets into a gray area of this and that, but we all know this is life. Whether it's a coworker, a friend circle, family members, you favor certain people over others because, as the kids say, you vibe with them better, or you're not vibing. And you can see from Kuminga's end where coming into the league, 18, 19 years old, not getting the typical treatment of a lottery pick, where an attitude could grow from Kuminga, a little chippiness, right? He seems to be a little prickly. But so what? How many great players over the history of sports are prickly? It almost comes hand in hand. That's what makes Steph so special. A lot of these great players, and not that Kuminga's great yet, but have that trait. And then you look at things from Kerr's side. He's sitting here with almost as many rings as he does have fingers. And he's like, oh, okay, this kid who hasn't proved anything in the league, I've got one of the greatest players of all time. We're trying to chase one more championship. You got a little attitude? Bet. This is what it's going to look like. And so we'll get to the basketball part of it here in a second, but I think we all have to acknowledge personalities matter as far as opportunities, relationships, and situations. And for whatever reason, Kuminga and Kerr haven't vibed throughout Kuminga's stay with the Warriors since we've drafted him. Their personalities haven't exactly meshed. And you combine that with Kerr not liking, his feel for the game, and his IQ of the game yet. And this is where you sit. I want to point out one more thing here. Have you noticed Fitz's tone with Kuminga during a telecast when he misses a shot as opposed to Mo or Pods? It can be completely different. I'm just saying. Why I'm bringing this up is another indicator that perhaps Kuminga can be a little, prickly behind the scenes. And so be it. That's what it is. But I think that there is an element of that. Now to the basketball court. I think we all understand the spacing, right? and that's like the main schematic thing. That's why I bring up Quentin Post and why I feel like he can be an X factor in these playoffs. Yes, there's going to be games he's in foul trouble. He can't hang with somebody physically. He is still a rookie, albeit an older one. But it's what he does to the versatility of the rest of the lineup and his spacing and perhaps can make those things work. And Kuminga missing, what did he miss? 36 games. He never really got to play with Quentin. And then Jimmy's there, and there just hasn't been a big enough time period to make it fit. And as you've heard Kerr gushing over Jimmy and his IQ, heck, Udonis Haslam the other day said Jimmy is way smarter than LeBron and D Wade. Now, these guys get on ESPN and they want to make headlines. I understand that, but I'm not saying he's wrong. Like, from what I've seen, I've got to say, and y'all know I have to cop my pleas that I didn't think it was going to be a smart move, and I'm humbly, I've eaten crow. Jimmy's amazing. I'm having an amazing time watching the nuance of his IQ and how he plays the game. There's no doubt about it. But in such a small sample size of the Jimmy JK lineup, if Jimmy is the basketball genius that they say he is, couldn't he make that work? Is it not part of your job to try to make that work? But then again, you bring it back to the timetable. And I think that that's the issue. Again, if you've got a 30-year-old Steph Curry and Draymond Green, I think there's far more patience for this situation. But that's not the reality of it. The window, we know, it's small. Did I just hit do I need to hit the windy, right? The window is no longer like this. It's like this. And so I think that it is a bit of a chicken or egg thing as far as Kerr's treatment of Kuminga's attitude. Like, where did it start first? You can see both sides of it, and they're just like two trains passing in the night. It's just the wrong time for Kerr to be coaching Kuminga. I am a believer in Kuminga as far as it's like you watched that Heat game last night against the Hawks, and I like almost all the players on both those teams except for Karis LeVert. But watching Wiggins, and I know that Miami does some stuff that the Warriors do, split actions and stuff like that, but he's just in a lot more traditional high pick and roll kind of simple basketball, and you can see that's just naturally how he wants to play. And I think the theory is you put Kuminga in just like a 5-out new age offense with some pick and rolls, and a lot of the mistakes that we're seeing within our offense disappear because he has so many things you can't teach. So I'm still a believer in Kuminga. Am I a believer that it's going to work on this Warriors team in this tight window? Doesn't look like it. I mean, they've basically announced it. Now, maybe in this Rocket series, and you heard Kerr say how the playoffs go, maybe he has a coming out party in this series on this big stage, and then he sets himself up for a big bag this summer. I'm not ruling it out, but this is something we got to discuss. I've had quite a few people DM me and ask about the situation directly. So here are my thoughts on it. But ultimately, I think I won't say the problem, but where it went wrong here in this season and to where we are right now is if they would have gotten the extension done before the season, and that's reportedly Kuminga turning down almost 30, around 30 per. Now, maybe it would have taken the pressure off of this season for Kuminga, and he would have bought into the role they were asking him to play easier, and he would have just been playing more freely. Maybe he would have looked like a different player. Maybe he wouldn't have. Moses took his extension, which was a far smaller deal. Okay, fine. But let's say he was still the same guy and there was still a bad fit. He more than likely would have been in the Jimmy deal. I can't tell you how many people have said, I wish we would have kept Wiggs and moved Kuminga. I wish, like hindsight or whatever the case may be, the money would have never worked. Wiggins had to be in the deal because of the money. And I think Miami preferred Wiggins anyway at this point because I like them. I like them right now. Not that they're going to make a run, but if he would have signed the extension and then it would have taken the same course up to the deadline, I think he would have either been in the Jimmy deal or there would have been some sort of Cam Johnson deal or something like that, and he could have gone off with his money into a new environment where, it was a better fit for him. But now he's out of the rotation, and it doesn't look like, it's hard to say with this market, it looks like a misstep between he and his agent, because I don't know if he's going to get that same offer in this summer. He's a restricted free agent, right? So the Warriors will have the opportunity to match, but there's just not a lot of money out there. I think there's Detroit, Brooklyn, anybody else? I don't know. Maybe somebody will clear some sort of cap space. And it seems as though the Warriors are probably operating under that. Like, even if he's pissed and there's no way he's going to come back, he's going to have to do a sign and trade to get anywhere near the extension that he wanted. And so, it's all in hindsight now, but those are my thoughts on this Kuminga Kerr situation. I see both sides of it. But here we are with perhaps a card up Kerr's sleeve to unleash in a series if he can stay ready so he ain't got to get ready and use this as motivation. Then, it could be a weapon in these playoffs, and the Kerr supporters are going to be calling it genius, and the Kerr haters are going to hate regardless, right? I'm not here to have that conversation. But let me tell you about Underdog. They are running boosts throughout these playoffs where the longer the series goes, the bigger the boost. So you need to get in on it. And if you're not playing Underdog, you can click the link in the description, use the code Alchemy, get a 50% bonus on your first deposit up to 1,000 credits. Game 1, Sunday at Toyota Center. My picks, I'm going with the stretch bigs. I think both of them are going to have an impact in this series. Jabari Smith Jr., higher than 9.5 points. He plays well against us. And then I'm going Quentin Post, QP3. And this is a good number here, higher than 4.5 points. Now, maybe he gets played off the floor and he doesn't get the opportunity. I'm anticipating QP getting around that 20-minute mark. Someone had brought this up to me, a Rockets fan, in the last video comments. Houston plays a lot of zone now. Towards the end of the year, when they've made this run, that double big lineup where you've got Adams and Şengün in there, they're in a 3-2 with those two on the back line. And I think that opens up even more possibilities for Quentin to let that thing go from about 30 feet. I'll be back with the Game 1 recap Sunday night, Monday morning. We'll see how it goes. Y'all enjoy the weekend. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.